Alright, gonna review a little bit more of this 5K. As you can see, a bit of a cooler for that guy, but we'll play it out. Always good to see it open under the gun when you're in the blinds with aces. Even better to see somebody 3-bet him. I like making it a little bit less than 3x because that's normally standard for about this stack, at least for my play, so I don't really want to do anything too out of the norm with aces unless I just have a guy who's going to spaz out and really spew off if I overbet him, or if you see somebody just never ever folds, then go ahead, I guess, and bump it up with aces because they're going to pay it off. So original razor folds, gets back to the guy with ace king. He piles it in, which I think that's what you're supposed to be doing there. Just a cooler for the guy. Let's see. $79 big blinds. We have a guy who's opening who's running 10-2. So he's playing 10% of his hands, but only raising his top 2%. That's super, super scary. And that's an 88 hands. I mean, it's not a whole lot, but that's enough to say, wow, like the guy only plays 10%, but only raises 20% of the hands that he does play. So a lot of times with this stack against other players, I would be 3-betting here, but I can't imagine I do. Yeah, I think it's better just to call in position and just see, obviously the guy has a hand like aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace, king suited. And just see if you can outflop him and extract some value. Another big stack who's running 20-12, so he's not anywhere as close to tight as this guy, but he's not too aggro at all. These are scary flops versus guys like this. A lot of people will have leaks about just paying off street after street after street when you should be noticing a guy raises 2% of his hands. I mean, the top 2%, no matter how you want to construct it, is aces and kings with 1 or 2 combos of queens, I believe. So even if he's just been running bad, I'd imagine his true pre-flop raise percentage is 4 or 5, which still just crushes this. So he checks. I don't think he's raising 4s. I don't think he's raising 5s. We block Jack. So it's kind of hard to imagine he's slow playing a hand here. I mean, why would you choose to slow play kings or aces in a 3-way pot when you already have like a 3-to-1 stack to pot ratio? I mean, it's not going to be too hard to get it in versus top pair or say like a flush draw and an overcard or two. So I mean, you're going to get paid. Why would you slow play here? And this person also has c-bet. Well, it's only 1 out of 1, but the one time that they had the opportunity, this person did c-bet, and now they're not. So I tend to think that he probably has like ace-king most of the time. A lot more ace-king combos than there are king-king and ace-ace combos, for sure. A little over half pot, I like it. And get 2 folds. So I'm thinking this is ace-king. A lot of people are going to check call ace-king here, especially if they have like the ace or king of hearts. But as you see, this guy's just so tight that I don't think he is, especially on a 25 big blind stack. It probably would be the best. With ace-king, it's probably maybe better to c-bet. I'm not sure. That'd be interesting. If I'm this guy with ace-king, Do I c-bet? If he's paying attention, he'll see that I'm only folding to a c-bet 33% of the time so far. This guy folds to a c-bet 100% of the time so far. It's only one sample though. If I have the ace of hearts or king of hearts, then yes, I c-bet. If I have ace king suited hearts, I probably check and then check raise. If the button bets, I check raise. The button bets and this person check raises, I would. Yeah, I mean, with that many chips in there that far, you just have to get it in at that point. I don't think you have enough chips to like really slow play streets. So, all right. So we have a guy who jams 20 big blinds. He's running 18-12. Raise first in, percentage of 20. Which I'm running about the same. I mean, I don't think you are supposed to be folding. It's a little over a third of our stack. Yeah, I mean, obviously you see that we have the best hand here, but I don't know. I guess you have to call. Maybe it was game flow, I'm not sure, but I mean, anyways. I rejam because, I mean, if you call off 9 and then say, this guy jams, you need to fold. And if this guy is, really tricky, really competent, then you're going to be folding the best hand some of the time. He might be sitting there with ace 5 suited and just figures, as long as the guy doesn't have aces, I have about 33% equity against this guy, and then whatever fold equity I have on top of the shove. So even when I do get called, as long as the guy doesn't have aces, then, and you're blocking aces with any, small suited ace or so. So we get it in, the guy flops like the entire world. So that's not good. That's not how you win tournaments. Looks like we get some chips back though. Alright. Got a min open from a guy who's running 29-18, so he's definitely raising some hands. This guy over here is playing 41% of his hands, only raising 4% of them, 3-betting 2%. So, this guy's got a super wide range. We're in the small blind, so let me see. Yeah, we're getting 4.2 to 1. We only need 19% equity. And even like knowing that this guy has Jack 10, we still have 21%. So I mean, yeah, you can't ever be folding there. You need to be trying to see some flops, especially if you look and you see that the guy in the big blind, like, is he going to steal a lot of the time? Well, in 27 hands, he hasn't 3-bet and he hasn't raised once, and he's only playing 15% of his hands. So I don't think you're really going to put the other 750 in here and then get raised off your hand when this guy tries to steal against 3 other players. Especially when he's sitting with 28 big blinds. Like, at that point, like, it looks super strong just to raise to like 4,500. It looks really, really strong. But when you do get flatted, like, you're, if you don't have like aces or kings, you're just gonna whiff the flop like, 60% of the time. So we get in there, we hit top pair, but this really isn't the kind of flop you want to be looking for when you have Jack-9 suited in a multi-way pot. Surprised this guy folded for, I mean, geez, hate to backtrack, but like, look at the odds he's getting: 2, 4, 6, about 7, 8 to 1. I mean, geez, like, if I have 8 deuce suited, it's that's a call. So we have a check behind, another check behind. So now I'm thinking, okay, my hand is probably good against anything but like a slow played set. I lead for a good amount because this is a fairly, wet board. Lots of cards could come that just make top pair kind of worthless. He calls with the flush draw and the 2 overs, which I'm not sure if I think he should be 3-betting there, because I mean, if you 3-bet to 7,500, it's 4,500 for me to call. Like, I can't really flat call the third of my stack unless I have like the nuts. So I don't think you should. I think that's a flat call. I think that's what he's supposed to do right there. I don't think he's supposed to be 3-betting. I think under certain circumstances you should be 3-betting there, but not in this one. Runs off a 6. I check. Now I like that because 7-8 is gonna have to bluff at it. 5-7 is gonna have to bluff at it. In the circumstance, as you see, that he picked up a flush draw, he's gonna have to bet at it. And the small percentage of the time that you were getting slow played or he hit trip 6s, I think you're exercising pot control. So I think you're getting multiple benefits out of this check. And as you see, he bets almost pot, which, I mean, is that really trip 6s or a boat or a straight? I mean, I can't imagine I check on the flop, I bet here, and then quote-unquote give up on the river. I can't imagine that my actions make you think that I'm going to pay off almost a pot-sized bet. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's 40% of your stack? I mean, I don't think so. I make the call. We take it down. Very proud of the way I played the river there. Alright, review 1 or 2 more hands. We'll review these 2. We have a jam from under the gun for 9 big blinds. I don't think you can fold to a 9 big blind shove. I think if you call here and you get jammed on, or just, 3-bet by this guy or this guy, I think you could just lay ace queen down. But comes down at this guy, a big stack, he calls. So that's scary. But he does play 29% of his hands, raising 19% of them. 3-betting 14%. Jeez, that's a lot. You really want to be at the table with guys with lots of chips who are going to 3-bet 14% of their range. It's highly exploitable. He bets 1,000 into a 14,000 chip pot. I mean, based just on the fact that we have ace queen high and a backdoor nut flush draw, I don't think you can ever fold here. I don't think raising really accomplishes much. In the circumstances where this guy has a flush draw, I think you need to be betting here. in the circumstances where this guy has ace jack, ace 10, ace 9, ace 8, ace 6, I think you need to be betting there. I mean, if this guy has you beat, this guy has you beat, but like, you know. He makes the call. 4-6 bricks, 6-8 bricks, but I mean, is he really calling that much? Who knows? I mean, he's playing 29% of his hands. Shit. He checks. I bet a quarter pot. You know, some spewy people are going to pay off with pocket sixes, pocket fours, just weird hands like that. He does indeed call, and the guy had ace king, so we can't beat him, but we sure built ourselves a profit out of the hand, which is cool. All right, last hand. I usually play pocket kings, you know. It's one of the better hands. Just under 2.5x early position. I'd probably raise a little bit less if average stacks were lower and I was in later position. But early position, you know, decent amount of chips at the table. We flop the nizzles. Something you should try to do as often as possible. Because of the flop texture, because of 7-9, Jack 9, Queen 9, Spade Spade, Jack Queen, Ace Jack, Ace Queen, 10 Jack, 10 Queen, Ace 10. Because of hands like this, I think you need to just not slow play ever in this spot. We get a call from big stack, and we get another call from smaller stack. So of hands that just got there, Jack Queen just got there, which, you know, that's got to be really scary. You know, Jack Queen is all up in there, all up in those ranges, which is why I choose to check. I'm checking with the intention of check calling this guy. If he bets, say, 6,000 to 9,000 or so, even say 3,000, 4,000, and this guy jams, that would make about a 25,000 chip pot, and it would be 9,000 for me to call. So I'd be getting 3 to 1. I'll more than likely get more than that when this guy puts in more. I'm gonna improve to a boat about 22% of the time, so I'd be needing a little more than 4 to 1 to make that profitable. Squarely against the nuts, but you'd have to. I don't think there's just too many bluffs. If this guy checks, I check, he bets, and he jams, I just don't see how that's a bluff. And when a guy plays 42% of his hands but raises only 5% of them, he's just super passive. So check jamming there from a super passive player just doesn't seem like he's bluffing. I hate to say never. I hate to underestimate people, but I mean, how often is that really a bluff? So I think if you check here, he raises, he jams, I think you have to hero fold. You're just not getting the odds to draw to a boat. Yeah, like I said, you need about 5 to 1 would be profitable. Getting 4 to 1 is borderline. If you could assume that you're getting bluffed 5-10% of the time, maybe you can make an argument for calling there. Checks around. I think that's a really good river for us Because if Jack Queen was there, then you're gonna get bet, especially because there's a flush draw on the board. Especially because I'm showing a lot of strength, I'm likely to call. Once he checks, I just don't think this is ever a slow played nut hand. So about half pot, trying to get hands like ace 8, ace 9, ace 10, ace X, 10 9. I don't think there's ever any sets in anybody's hand, or this hand wouldn't have played out this way. We get a call from a fairly tight player running 12 11. And we get another call from a guy in short stack. And they both muck. So like I said, this ace was a really, really good card. It didn't change the nuts. And this guy pretty much tells us he never has the nuts when he checks twice on turn and river. So good pot.